Hello, and today we're doing a new series. I'm just going to adjust you a little bit up. We're doing a new series on this channel, and it's called Does It Still Hold Up? Well, I mean, the name is still a work in progress, but today we're doing a very popular song from 2006 that was, I want to say, it was kind of like the song of a generation, almost. Excuse me, and it was like the anthem of a bunch of kids that were, just coming up into teenager status. And I was about, let's see, I would have been 13, I want to say, when this song came out. So I was like right at the right age for this song, but to be honest, I was never really a huge fan of this band growing up, but now I kind of appreciate their music. I mean, you guys probably know it's MCR's Teenagers from the title of this video. That song was released in 12 years ago, actually, almost 13 years ago. And I was, like I mentioned, 13 at the time of the song's release. So I was like the target audience for this song, and I want to know if it still holds up today. So I just listened to it again for the first time in forever, and I have to say, I mean, even though I'm no longer like the target demographic for the song, I still think that kids coming up in their teen years are still going to find this song somewhat relatable, because, when you're 13, you're still trying to figure out how things work, how life works. You're hitting puberty, you're moving on into a new stage of your life. You kind of want to rebel against your parents and the system, even though you don't really know what the system is. I don't know why I used air quotes, but even though you don't really know what the system is or what it does, you still want to rebel against it because you know that it's not something you want to be a part of. I mean, for a lot of kids, I know I was that way when I was a kid. I didn't want to do what I knew I was supposed to do. I mean, I did because, I wasn't a douchebaggy kid, but I really deep down didn't want to have to do it, even though I actually really did do it. So that's what this song is targeted for. It's for those people, those kids that don't want to do what they're told, but do it anyways because they're stupid. Well, I don't want to say stupid, but they don't know any better, and they don't know how to, circumvent not doing it. So I think it does definitely hold up today. It's just, I think in the recent years, since MCR's disbanding, I think it's lost a little bit of its humph, a little bit of its punch power, compared to when it was released back in 2006. Like I said, that was 12 years ago at this point. So the people that used to listen to it when they were 13 are now in their mid to late 20s, or early 20s. I'm 25 now, and I listened to the song when I was 13. So, like, when you're 13 years old, you're like, oh my god, this song is so deep. And, when you're 13 years old, you don't really understand. Like, I mean, at least for me, I didn't understand, like, the whole meaning underneath the songs that I was listening to, like with Linkin Park. Didn't really understand what their music was about until I got older. I was like, oh, this music is about, like, depression and going through, suffering with mental illnesses and having nobody really understand what I'm going through. And, I mean, especially with Numb, it's like not being able to do what you want to do because somebody is, like, keeping you in some sort of prison or something, and you're trying to get out of that. And I think that's what Teenagers is also about. You know, again, like when you're 13 years old, you're still trying to figure out what kind of person you want to be. You're trying to figure things out. You're in a phase or rebellion phase. I think every teenager has done that. At least a majority of them have. And I think that's why, like, the whole punk and grunge eras of music were so popular, is because, you know, kids that were rebelling against their parents and the system kind of latched onto that music because they thought it was relatable to them. And that's what Teenagers is to kids. They can latch onto it because it's relatable, and I think there's an underlying message of, you know, when I see teenagers scare the living shit out of me, I think that has to do with, you know, kids are, like, unpredictable. You don't know what they're gonna do. You can't really control them at the age when they're teens, and you know, they're just unpredictable when they get to a certain age. Like, you can't really control them. They're figuring out things for themselves. They're doing things on their own. They're starting to do things on their own. When they're 13, starting to experiment with different stuff and going through, you know, changing again. Like when you're 13, like, you start puberty, so things start to change chemically with your body. So you start to, like, experience things differently, and you kind of figure new things out. So you kind of just, you know, you're scared of what these kids are going to do. I think that's at least what I'm getting from it. So I think it still definitely holds up today, just not in the way that it did 13 years ago, or 12 years ago at this point. And, I mean, I definitely think there's still going to be the new generation of kids that are the age that, you know, that are 13, you know, or turning 13. I think they're going to find this music and listen to it and latch onto it and find it relatable. So I think it's always going to be, even though it's no longer relatable to people that are my age or older, I think it's still going to be relatable to the younger people, the people that are 13, 14 years old, that are, you know, still trying to figure out life, and they're going to find it the most relatable. So, I mean, I think it does still hold some weight. It's just, you know, MCR not really being a band. I think you're going to have to kind of dig a little bit to find, this music, either by word of mouth or just by chance. And that, I think, is where this song is going to lose a little bit of its weight, because, you know, again, MCR is not around. They don't make any new music. I mean, some of the people from the band, like Frank Iero, still doing his own thing, but as a band, as a group, My Chemical Romance doesn't really put anything out, you know, so they're gonna, the music is gonna be kind of lost, essentially. Well, not lost, but it's gonna be a little bit harder to find this specific song from the band, but it's still a good song, still holds up, even though it doesn't have any relevance to me anymore, or people my age. It's still very catchy, so I give this song a solid 9 out of 10 on the does it still hold up scale. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one, and until then, rock on, you motherfuckers.